I have 3 names of potential trade targets the Dallas Stars should be interested. An update down on the farm, and Jamie Benn, 500 career assists. That's next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer, 105 Through the Fan, and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Well, Stars fans, happy December 13th on a Wednesday, and the Stars have a few days off for the first time in what feels like forever. And I'm ready to talk some potential trade targets because this defense needs some help. It's time to hire some help if you're general manager Jim Neal, and I'm sure he's picking up phone calls and making them as well, seeing what he can do to help bolster this Stars club. Also want to touch on the magnificent Texas Stars, and man, Mavrik, Bourque, and Logan Stankoven are just tearing it up down in the AHL. And of course, Jamie Benn with his 500th career assist a few days ago on Miro's power play goal, which is pretty remarkable. The long-term and longest standing captain, I should say, in Dallas Stars history. So a ton of things I want to get into, and I have 3 potential trade targets I want to throw out there and get your thoughts as well. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So the names I'm going to throw at you too, I'm trying to put ones out there that I think the Stars have a actual chance to go ahead and grab. Look, cap space is the name of the game, and they don't have a ton of it. They're probably going to have to get rid of some guys and figure out who's expendable in order to make some of these happen for sure. Right now, they have just over $450,000 worth of cap space, and that's going to take some maneuvering in order to get anybody at this point. But there's a few names I think the Dallas Stars should definitely be in on. And number one I want to start with is Sean Walker from the Philadelphia Flyers. Having a career year. He played for years in Los Angeles and on pace to kind of shatter all his career highs. And he's the cheapest of these 3 options. $2.65 million right now is his cap hit. And I really like his game. He's a right-handed defenseman too, which the Stars desperately need. He could be a really, really good third pairing, or maybe you can have him up there on the second pairing, kind of getting Jani Hakanpaa minutes as well. A plus 2.5 offensive rating. He has a plus 2.4 defensive rating, which is way more important at this point in the game. 3 goals, 8 assists so far on the season. He plays just over 20 minutes. And of course, he plays a ton in Philadelphia. But that's a team that's looking to probably move off of him and get some picks maybe, or just get some young talent, of course, because Philadelphia is in a pretty much a full rebuild right now. And it was reported from The Athletic as well that the Stars are definitely interested in him, and they absolutely should be. At 29 years old, I think he could be a really, really valuable piece. And also, this is all contingent on who do the Stars think is kind of expendable at this point. Somebody like Ty Dellandrea, who's still young, maybe he has some value. And look, I like Dellandrea probably more than a few, but he's a healthy scratch most nights right now. They seem to really like Sam Steele. Also, Harley's going to be a restricted free agent here next season or in a few years. So you have to think about those are the type of guys you got to pay. Wyatt Johnston down the road. You got to find people that are kind of expendable, right? Is Jani Hakanpaa somebody you think you could move off of? I don't think they will. He's one of the few right shot defensemen that you have. I don't know if you want to give him up, but These are certain questions that the Stars are going to have to make. But I think Sean Walker would be a really nice piece that you could add. Right shot, still young, has experience in the National Hockey League. I think he could slide right in and be a nice fit. The next is Chris Tanev, who, of course, I know a ton of Stars fans are in on. 33 years old. He did just get hurt in his last game against Colorado. How that affects his value, or how that affects how the Flames are going to do business with him down the stretch will be intriguing. He's listed as day-to-day right now, but just a true workman-like defender. He had a great showing against Dallas in the last time these two met. Just eats pucks. He's physical, which the Stars desperately need on the back end. He's big, just 7 points on the year, but that's not what you're looking for out of him. He can be on the PK too, and he's a bit more mobile than a guy like Hakanpaa and has good size. So Tanev, I've kind of fell in love with. His cap hit is 4.5. That's going to be difficult. And I know with the Zadorov trade, Toronto is really interested in him, Zadorov and Tanev. But one of the things that made the Zadorov deal kind of go by the wayside was they wanted the Flames to retain some of his salary. I think if the Stars are going to do something with Calgary, they may need them to retain some salary. I think they're going to have to, depending on who they're going to move off of. Because at this point, you have some untouchables, right? You're not going to get rid of Stankoven or Bourque. That would be borderline insane. So is Calgary going to be willing to retain some salary? I don't know. And those are also questions you have to think about. But Tanev, a 0.0 defense rating. He's not going to be your offensive superstar, of course, but he's playing just over 18 minutes. Expected goals against at 16.9. And the Flames have been really, really bad defensively. Except when they play Dallas, of course. But that's a team that is obviously ready to kind of move off some of their guys, and they've had tons of turmoil within that organization here in the last season. So those are the first two I want to bring up. A third one I think is maybe more of an outside chance, but I find really, really intriguing. And this is also dependent on where teams think they are. Teams at this point, if they have a chance to go for it, they're going to go for it. In the West, in the Central Division, teams are all hovering around right now. Nashville's up there, St. Louis and Arizona are all really buying for a playoff spot. So some teams aren't going to be willing to sell. One team that I find very, very intriguing is the Carolina Hurricanes. 29 points right now, which has them just 3 points out of a wild card spot. But they have some, unrestricted free agents on their back end. And one of them is Brett Pesce, who I think would be phenomenal. Always have liked his game. His cap hit is just over $4 million, and he's 29 years old, so a little less than Tanev too. But he's another right shot defenseman. A plus 0.3 defense rating and a plus 0.2 offense rating. Just a few points on the year. Time on ice, he plays over 20 minutes. Expected goals against 12.37, which is really, really phenomenal. Pesce is a guy I think the Stars should definitely make some calls on. He's another one that's going to be a restricted, I believe, unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. And a few of these guys do have some modified no trade clause. So that of course, plays into that. And Pesce will be an unrestricted free agent. And he also has a modified no trade clause on there. And one thing about Dallas is, even with those trade clauses, they seem to be a team that's usually not on someone's off list, so to speak. Like, I'm not going to go there, which certainly helps. Good travel, a good city, and a team now that can win now. And maybe that's something that will be intriguing to Brett Pesce. That is a defenseman that he could do wonders for the Stars. And to be completely honest, Dallas probably needs two. I don't think Nils Lundkvist is going to be viable come playoff time. I have no indication of that almost 30 games into the season. What's going to change from now that he's going to be an everyday player and they're going to be trusting of him enough to come play playoff time? I just don't see it right now. And you need a right shot defenseman. It would do wonders to try to move Miro off his off wing right now. It's amazing how much more effective he can be when he's playing on his strong side. Just a few times they flirt with it in a game, maybe when Harley's out there, or they pair him with Hakanpaa. You can just tell it does wonders. It creates so much more of a dynamic style for him if he's playing on his strong side. So they're going to be hungry for a right shot defenseman, of course. So those are three targets. I think the Stars should be Sean Walker at a cheap price. I think is a great value. Tanev, who I know a lot of people are high on, and then Brett Pesce is one I feel like just to kind of throw out there, probably the least likely out of the two. But if Carolina is struggling and maybe they're not ready to kind of go all in come deadline time, that's one to certainly keep an eye on. And teams just feel like there's a sense of urgency. I mean, Toronto, of course, with the injuries they're having on the back end. Colorado, they're more probably interested in a forward of some type, but there just seems to be a sense of urgency to get some deals done before the deadline. And, the pricing and how that all plays out will certainly be interesting because, look, Stars do not have a ton of cap space. And that's no surprise. So there's going to have to be hula hoops you got to jump through in order to get any of these guys. But at some point, this is a sacrifice you have to make with the team you have right now. Something has to be done because your window is open for sure. How long does that last? I know they have a great ton of young talent, but there's going to be some key pieces that are more than likely not going to be as effective here down the line. And you still have some contracts on the books with Seguin and Benn for 3-4 years, even more with Seguin. So these are conversations that I'm sure are certainly happening, but thought those would be some intriguing players to look at. All right shots, which the Stars certainly need, and hopefully they can at least cash in on one. More than likely they need to to be a true I feel like contender here in the Western Conference. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those young phenomenal prospects down on the farm. The Texas Stars having a fantastic season, and we will do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is obsessed with getting you great deals and not having that frustrating ticket buying experience that we have always had, sports fans. The only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And also, get that sports fan in your life a little present, man. Go to Game Time. Get them some tickets. You can get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Give that sports-loving fan in your life a beautiful present. Christmas time is right around the corner. It's holidays. Spread some holiday cheer. And like I said, you can find exclusive deals, sponsored deals, tickets, football, basketball, hockey, concerts, theater, whatever. And you can pick your seats, and you don't have to worry because it takes all the guesswork out of buying your tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL. That is LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So the Texas Stars are just completely kicking butt right now in the Central Division in the AHL. Through 21 games, 13-5-3 record, which is good enough for 29 points, and they have a 4-point gap between them and the second place Milwaukee Admirals. Man, they've just been dominating, and no surprise, Logan, Stankoven, and Mavrik Bourque are just lighting up the league. Two of the top scorers in the AHL, which is pretty remarkable. Look, and we watched them during preseason. They're NHL ready, but the Stars have a lot of NHL ready forwards with the big club right now. And I was a proponent of having Stankoven down, let him develop some more and continue to play in the AHL. And look, we get it. They're ready to go. 29 points from Stankoven, 14 goals, 15 assists. Bourque is the setup man. He's so crafty. And when those two are together, it's going to be in your net in a hurry. 21 games, 32 points for Mavrik Bourque. They're both leading the way. Over double digits and plus minus. They just get so many shots too. 67 shots from Bourque. And 65 from Stankoven so far in 21 games, which ranks one of the highest in the AHL as well, man. Just having phenomenal seasons. And this is great. And this is when it comes into play too about who's maybe some expendable, some prospects you may be willing to give up come, trade talk. Matej Blumel's a guy. I know he's young and he had some time. He has 20 points in 21 games. That's a guy that could be very intriguing to some potential trade suitors. Demieni is another guy, still young, 23 years old, 12 points in 21 games. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. And I'm not jumping ship on any of these guys, but this is the conversations that have to be had, and you certainly have to think about. But they're just having so much success, which is so fun to watch. Oscar Bach, who I think is another center iceman, with a good start to his year. 4 goals, 14 assists, good enough for 18 points. More of a two-way forward, and he's having great success too, being able to cash in, playing in his 3rd season now down in Texas, but he's from Sweden. He was picked in the 3rd round back in 2018, and he's showing some signs of having a great year. He's going to shatter some career highs, which is exciting, but always good that the Texas Stars are kicking butt and having a great year. They've had some really, really good farm systems in years past, of course, going to the Calder Cup not too long ago. And man, it's just nice to see guys like Stankoven and Bourque just panning out huge time. And look, and when we talk about two potential trade targets, and maybe you're going to move off some guys, your depth pieces with forwards, maybe that opens up some room for a guy like Stankoven and Bourque to come up. There's a ton of possibilities here in the next 3 months of the season, which I think brings a lot of excitement and gives you some cause to really have some confidence in what the Stars could look like moving forward. It could be a really different team, come February or March. And I brought up the question yesterday, and I thought it was a great point from one of you everydayers out there. It said, what is this team's identity? And yeah, I don't think they have one through 30 games. I think we're going to find it out 40 through 60. I feel like that's kind of the window when teams realize who they are and can make that decision. Like, yeah, we're going for it or we're out. It kind of separates men from the boys, so to speak. You're either a buyer or seller. What is the Stars going to be like games 40 through 60? I think it's a great question. What is their identity? They haven't played consistent enough, I feel like, to find that, which is frustrating, and it's been infuriating at times. Absolutely. And maybe that spark needs to come from, down on the farm with Texas. And look, they have NHL ready guys right now. And if they get their chance, great this year. But absolutely will have their time in, a few seasons. I mean, he'll be playing next year, to put it there. And that's not breaking news. They'll be up and having a huge impact on the Dallas Stars next season. Alrighty, so the Texas Stars do take on Grand Rapids tomorrow. The old Griffins, who, of course, affiliate of the Red Wings, and 3 of those guys got brought up to play Dallas on Monday night with Dylan Larkin out, and then Perron got suspended. So the Griffins will be out with some guys. So with no Stars hockey, you can certainly check out Texas Stars tomorrow, 6 o'clock puck drop to that one. So there's a little update down on the farm. And how about Mavrik Bourque and Logan Stankoven just completely lighting the AHL ablaze, and two wonderful hockey names too. Could not be better. Cannot wait to hear those on an everyday basis off in the near future. Let's go ahead and touch on the old captain. Why not? Jamie Benn, his 500th career assist as a Dallas Star on Monday on the Miro Heiskanen power play goal. Let's show some love to the captain in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Dallas Stars could hoist the Stanley Cup. Jamie Benn could score 50 goals, and you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And you don't just have to play daily fantasy hockey. You got football, college football, the NBA, which is in full swing, and you can talk with all other fans. It's so easy. The group team chat functionality, if you want to play with your friends, and your entries can be made in under a minute. But if you want to play daily fantasy hockey, all you have to do is pick the studs, right? You got the Ovechkins, the Crosbys, watch a Stars game, throw some money on Miro, who had a great night, starting to get back to his old ways. Why not Robertson? Maybe his goal sparks him to go on a run, and pick more or less on certain Sleeper projections like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and you can win 100 times your bet on Sleeper. All you got to do is predict the outcomes of 8 player stats. You heard me, Stars fans. 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. Before we jump into a bit of the Jamie Benn talk, how about Locked On? They've launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering all the top stories with all the local experts, and Locked On Plus, the national shows covering every league. So go ahead, go to Locked On Sports Today, go to that YouTube channel, hit subscribe for the first ever 24/7 streaming sports channel. Be sure to hit subscribe here on YouTube as well. Hit that notification bell. Follow me on the Twitter thing at JoeyTheJet19. I'd love to throw my opinions if you want to hear me blab some more. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Just putting that out there for y'all if you want to interact with me that way. So, Mr. Jamie Benn with his 500th career assist on the Miro Heiskanen power play goal on Monday, puts him in third place all time and assist leaders for the Dallas Stars. Of course, he's played so much his entire career and is now the longest standing captain in Dallas Stars history. And he only trails Neil Broughton now and Mike Modano. It's going to be tough to get old Mike at 802. Of course, anything with a point involved, Mr. Modano is leading in that category, which is why he will be having a statue of him in front of the AAC come March. But he passed Sergei Zubov, or he's been past Sergei Zubov for a while now, but he's just having such a good season. Again, 20 points in his first 27 games. And he had that great resurgence last year with 78 points, which was a mark he had not met since 2017-18. And I feel like his contract causes people to have different opinions on him and what he has been throughout his career, which is unfortunate. And I've never been a big money guy. I understand why it makes people have a lot of frustration with certain guys based on their contracts, and they're not producing up to their contracts. And look, that's been a topic of discussion really for it felt like the last 7 years, relatively, it's died down the last 2 because Seguin and Benn have actually been very viable. I mean, Seguin's up to 9 goals, and Benn had a great year, but a 6-time All-Star, won that Art Ross in 2014-15. In that incredible last game. He finished 3rd in Hart voting in 2015-2016. But when he had a 41 goal campaign, and that's his highest mark of his career. But 87 points, his career high, of course, when he won that Art Ross. And excuse me, not his career high, but he won the Art Ross. But his career high is actually 89, which is kind of incredible, and tells you how the game of hockey is being played now. It was crazy that he was able to win it with 87 in a 82. If someone told you he won it with 87 points, you would have said, what do they play, like 30 games? With the way McDavid is now, and guys scoring 140 points. It's freaking crazy. But one thing about Jamie, no power play goals yet this year. And that was something he was a menace at last year, 13 power play goals. And that tied him for most on the team. And he's got no tallies right now on the man advantage. And if he can start chipping in that way, I think that will certainly help Dallas, of course, and it could help the special teams, even though their power play's actually been rolling here as of late, which is a great sign. They're starting to get some production out of that consistently. Still not able to score that goal, the one they need. Granted, I guess they kind of did get that on Monday when Detroit cut it to 1, but I would have loved to see him when they had the power play in the first 5 minutes of the third, get the 5th goal, bury him right away. Then you don't even have to worry about the big push from Detroit. But look, I'm greedy sometimes, so I want a bit more. But I've always been a Jamie Benn fan, and yeah, he's had some years where the production was not there, and they're paying him a lot, and I get it. But I think it's sometimes like the Otter conversation that I didn't really get into on Monday, but you don't want to take for granted sometimes these huge pieces. And that was another point I should have brought up about Otter. And I don't want to get too much into this, but there's some franchises that can never figure out their goaltender. And look at where they are. Ottawa as a team. Detroit for, a few years now, even though they're on the uptick. Look at LA before Quick came aboard. And then look, he won a few cups in the span of, a few seasons. Buffalo kind of seems to have their guy now, but that's been, a revolving door of netminders. And like Jamie, I think sometimes you don't want to take for granted what he's provided to the Stars. They were bankrupt when he came in as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed power forward, and then became one of the best power forwards in all of the National Hockey League. Played in the Olympics on that 2014 goal team alongside Crosby, and became a true force and someone you don't want to mess with, and you still don't want to mess with. And he's been a great leader. Terrible exit in the Western Conference Final last season. I will admit that was not his prettiest of moments, but he's still hungry, and he's done a lot. He's done a lot in the game, and he's still eyeing the one prize that many Stars players still don't have, and that's that elusive trophy, the elusive Stanley Cup, and hopefully it's right around the corner. All righty, that's all I have today on a wonderful Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Stars return to action against Ottawa on Friday, and hopefully they just bury this team. They had a stretch last year where they could not beat really bad teams, or they were playing in very, very tight games against some of the bottom feeders. Let's not have that case on Friday. They should be well rested and ready to rock and roll. Enjoy the rest of your day. Tomorrow, be sure to look out. I think I'm going to do a game, buying or selling. What are some things that you want to buy about the Stars team? What are some things you're going to sell on? I'm going to try to come up with 3 statements for you guys to answer and have some fun on another off day in Dallas. Alrighty, enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and we will see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.